Yeah, this is just going to be an introduction to the video. This is not the video, just the introduction. So stick around after this little part and then we'll get into the video.
Imagine for a moment that your thoughts are not just fleeting sparks of the brain, but living spirits. Every idea, every memory, every whisper in your mind, an entity with its own presence. Some arrive gently, like birds landing on a branch. Others crash in, wild and furious, demanding your attention. These are the possessing spirits, the ones that ride you until you act, until you speak, until you surrender to them. We feed these spirits with attention. Every time you return to a thought, you pour energy into it. Some grow strong, circling your mind like hawks. Others starve, fading into shadows, haunting only the edges of dreams. Not all thought spirits are hostile. Some are allies, intuition, inspiration, the sudden insight that feels like a gift from another world. Others are tricksters, leading you down endless loops, making you believe in illusions that dissolve when the light touches them. And then there are the muses, the rare spirits of creativity that visit unannounced, fill you with fire, and vanish before you can hold on. But here's the secret: you are not the spirits. You are the temple they pass through. You are the fire around which they gather, dancing, fighting, whispering. What you call me is often just the spirit speaking the loudest in this moment. The mystics and shamans knew this. They created rituals, meditations, and ceremonies to cleanse the temple, to welcome certain spirits and banish others. Psychedelics often break the walls wide open, revealing the spirits of thought in full form, vivid, undeniable, alive. And so the real question is not, what are your thoughts? But who are you without them? Perhaps enlightenment is this: realizing you are not the passing spirits, nor the voices, nor the endless parade of ideas. You are the silent witness, the temple, the still fire in the center. And the thoughts? They are simply spirits, visitors on the wind, drifting in and drifting out.
What's up? What's up? What's up with it, y'all? Yeah, I'm like it's about to get hot up in here. I had to turn off the fan so I don't hear the echo from the fan going through my microphone. But all in all, once I get in the dungeon, I start seeing certain things, and I have to. It like this is the crazy part, right? Because like I have a lot of I done had a lot of psychedelic experiences, and I done seen a lot of things, and let me make myself a little huge up in here so y'all can see me. Yeah, I done seen a lot of things on my journeys, like period, point blank. And a lot of times, when I'm saying certain things, or I'm questioning about certain things, it don't seem logical, like at times, because I'm not quoting all these different people that we usually learn our information from. I'm just quoting what I seen on my psychedelic experience and how it make me look at the world now, how it make me look at people, how it make me look at thoughts and different things like that. That's all I talk about. But then it's something about psychedelics that it'll bring it back around to you, and it'll show you that the things that it's showing you is real. Like it's showing you the truth, whether you want to accept it, whether the people you telling want to accept it. It's showing you, and like you can either take it, and believe it, or you can just make it seem like you seeing things. So like I was telling everybody about thoughts and our ideas being entities, this is why we see certain entities when we dive in on psychedelics, because a lot of times our thoughts and our ideas not only create entities, our beliefs create entities, our ideas, they create worlds, all these different things. And then that's when you start to begin to go further on the psychedelics and understand that the worlds that you see in are worlds that were created by you. You feel me? That's why our loved ones or our ancestors are always in those places. So I'm not even gonna get in all the way into that, but I'm gonna let somebody else explain it so you can see it, hear it from a different light. You feel me? This I just came upon this video and it was explaining the thing that I explained many times over. And let's just go on and dive into it. It's thought forms, entheogens, and magic. That's what it's called. So let's just go on into get into it.
One of our greatest but unconscious
Excuse me.
is the power of thought.
The greatest.
And we may not realize that. But this is the basis of our awareness, colored with emotions, of course. But there is ignorance of its consequences. And that's one of the things that we'll cover in today's program. We know nothing of the hidden effects of mere thinking. Isn't that the way we think of it? We merely think. Who cares?
And I always say this, like, that's why I always I'll be like, I always say, man, the thoughts that you have are not yours. That's why a lot of these thoughts then survived over like so long, because they're not just thoughts no more. They are literal entities. There are literal entities that's living within us that don't want to die. That's how I feel about it. But let's hear what she said.
Our thoughts are private. They have no effect on anybody else. We'll see. Today we explore the basic ideas behind thought forms, egregores, and magic. And these three tie into one another. Our thought forms eventually can create egregores. Us, we.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, those that might be termed magicians or adepts can use these egregores through what might be termed magic. And we'll explore that as well. Theosophy teaches thoughts are real entities. Our thoughts are real entities with tenacity, coherence, and they are resistant to dissolution.
That's deep.
That is similar to dying. The resistance
Now,
to...
remember I said, I told y'all this a long time ago. I said, just like certain things that come into reality, they don't want to die. That's why when they talk about ego death is destroying the thought system, the belief system that you have. They call it the ego death because it's like dying. The thoughts, the ideas, the beliefs that you have don't want to die. They want to live forever within you. So therefore, they keep on passing their cell phone from person to person to person to person, because they want to live forever also, just like the people want to live forever. The so-called people, but these thoughts, they the same thing. That's why they keep jumping from body to body to body. The thoughts, the ideas, the beliefs, they want to keep going too.
breaking down and falling apart.
Wait, hold on.
It's important that we understand that is similar to dying. The resistance to breaking down and falling apart. It's important that we understand the basic outline of the unconscious power we have, either for good or bad. And throughout the research that I did, they called bad evil. But generally we speak of it as bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
But it can be quite evil. In a quote from the Mahatma Letters to AP Senate, the Mahatma KH states, and I'll read this: every thought of man, upon being fully developed, passes into the inner world and becomes an active entity by coalescing with an elemental. It survives as an active intelligence, a creature of the mind's begetting, creation, for a longer or shorter period, proportionate with the original intensity, and this is important, the original intensity of the thought.
Yeah, I don't even want to speak through this video because anybody that's been here, they heard me say these things, and I know a lot of people caught on, but a lot of people don't even understand this. That's why our belief that we have in God, church, or any of our beliefs. This is why they don't the belief that won't let you kill it. The just the idea won't let you kill it because it makes itself, it attaches to you and it becomes you, and it's not, but it attaches to you and becomes you. And once it do that, and you try to change, that's why a lot of people have such a hard time on psychedelics and letting go, because they don't want to, the them that they built, they have these entities, their ideas, their entities. That's why I said we are legion. They have their entities that are living inside of them, and those entities and those beliefs, which are the beliefs and the ideas, do not want to die. They want to live forever within that person, in order so it can have control over how that person see things and what that person does, because within them, that thing is already creating the whole world within the person, within each person that it exists in. And bro, it gets real deep. I'm not gonna say too much more.
They call it of the cerebral action, which generated it. Furthermore, man is continually peopling, and I love this phrase, and you picture yourself, is continually peopling his personal atmosphere, in other words, his aura, with a world of his own, crowded with the offspring of his fancies, our fancies.
Now, remember when I had the experience, right? Where I was like I was in a place to where it seemed like, okay, I was an angel. And like I was shown the world, and I was supposed to do certain things a certain way, but I didn't. I wanted to do it my way. And like my way wasn't even my way, but it was like it was, because everything that I wanted, everything that I fancied, I was getting, even though it seemed like bad things would be happening, and but those bad things was because of me. It wasn't because of anybody outside of me. It was because the positions I was putting myself in from trying to live life on my own fancy. And it was like going, and every time, bro, it showed me, and I came out of it, it'll put me back into it, like it was almost like God was showing me, okay, it's supposed to be like this, but you want to do it like this, so therefore I'm going to give you the freedom to do what you think you want to do. But you don't understand reality. You don't understand life. So as life is going, I'm doing every life I'm living. I'm doing everything that I want to do. I'm doing whatever I, fancy in life. So it's like, bro, man, I'm telling you, bro, this it goes deep.
Desires, our desires.
Every.
Impulses, our impulses. And our passions. A current which reacts upon any sensitive or nervous individual which comes in contact with it. In other words, some people who are sensitive, who consider themselves empaths, can feel exactly what a negative thought form feels like, or a compassionate thought form feels like. It can actually affect them, and they can talk about it.
That's deep.
And to restate, our positive ideas generate benevolent forces, while our negative thoughts, if strong and repeated often enough, create destructive entities.
Man, I'm telling you, I've seen this, I've said it, I don't want to say it again. So a lot of times when you hear me and I'm tripping and I'm saying these things, bro, pay attention. Like I always said, don't believe what I say. Just go do your research. Go look deeper. Don't look at like, cause it's crazy, because we'll still look into the way that we believe. And we don't never want, because like I said, it's hard for you to step outside of your own ideas. We won't look at the opposite of what we already believe or what we already accept.
Sometimes referred to as demons, we read in books on ancient sorcery, that type of thing. In the astral realm, what do thought forms look like? In the book titled Thought Forms, A Record of Clairvoyant Investigations by Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater, and most of us are familiar with that, a series of common thought forms are depicted. The book provides a good, basic understanding of what is meant when we speak of thought forms. And this is a good starting point if you really haven't studied them or looked into it.
I'm going to now.
Done any research on it. And the next slide is, next 3 slides actually will...
It's crazy because, like, even though I was saying these things about the thoughts, I've never heard anybody talk about it. I always heard people still go demons, and I never heard them talk about the thought forms and our ideas being alive. I'm the only one that ever I heard talk about it. Well, I don't know. I probably heard somebody else, like, I don't know if it was Terrence McKenna or Ram Dass or one of them, but I never heard it put in the way that I've said it over time and time again. So it was like, that's, I think, why once I seen this video, I just went to it and started listening to it. Probably because it said Erigors.
Discuss this. The first slide speaks of ambition and anger. What does it look like? These are some ideas as to what they look like. Ambition, and usually when it's ego-oriented, when it's egotistical and selfish, you see these little hooks that hooks back on the person who's thinking these things. And that's common. So ambition has the hooks on it, selfish, and selfish ambition, if it's great, looks like this one. And then explosive anger. My husband has been affected many times.
And you see, it ain't no hooks on that because you trying to make people feel what you feel. This gonna be like the next video that I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to find this book that she's talking about that show the different designs of because when you dive in on you see a lot of this stuff, and you're not noticing that these are your thoughts and the ideas that you picked up along the way, creating different places.
By explosive anger, by my explosive anger, I have to admit. Then we look at religious devotion, and this is an important one because most of our thoughts are vague. Most of our thoughts are cloud-like. And here we're speaking of vague religious feeling. And next to that is a firmer, well-developed thought form of an upper rush of devotion. If we are devoted to, let's say, a religious figure, and we live our lives by, let's use the example of Jesus Christ, for instance, or the Buddha, or any figure similarly, and we live our lives through that devotion. This is what the thought form would look like.
Dang.
And if we develop ourselves further, there exists in our aura this thought form that represents self-renunciation. And we hear that all the time, self-renunciation. And there's perhaps one of the last steps on our journey along the path.
Man.
Before we be of service, real service to humanity. We must learn to renounce the self. When we reach that stage, beautiful thought form. And then when we have this upper rush of devotion, this one refers to a response from the higher realm, from the higher spiritual realm, from the higher divine realm. And this last slide is the results of love. And again, vague, cloud-like. If we just have a general loving feeling, it's not well formed, but it's there. It's in our aura. It has its effect, but it's not definite. Can be easily disrupted.
Easily.
The other is radiating affection. If we radiate affection for another, this is what we're doing. This is the thought form that develops. The one on the bottom is a thought form that's developed when we meditate and send out radiation for peace and protection, but of others. And that's what the wings refer to. We're sending it out. It's flying outward. So if you meditate, say, for peace, for health of others, not for ourselves.
Hey, it's weird, right? Because, you like when you do a lot of things, you never do it for others. It seems like you always doing it for self, like in order to better the self, to make the self stop thinking about the things, to change the self, to help the self. So many things, basically, to just doing with self that you don't even think about, spreading the energy for others. But it's crazy because, in the end, you find out once you do it for self and you begin to share it with others. I think. I don't know, though.
The thought form that is developed that flies outward to help people. And another nature of this is not just that it is a thought form, but eventually we'll see how this type of thing develops into an egregore. In Annie Besant and Leadbeater's book, Thought Forms, as a result of clairvoyant investigation, these drawings and many more are in there. And I've only selected a few, but there are many more. And it's worth looking at this book to see a deeper explanation, a broader explanation that helps us to understand exactly what a thought form is. And I think that that particular book is a premier book.
On that before.
Is really one worthwhile studying if one wants to understand ourselves.
Yeah.
And
I'm going. That's going to be the next thing that I'm going to look into. That I'm going to try to tomorrow, hopefully before work. I'm gonna try to look into that and do a video on that because the thought, like I've been, learned that thing off of just diving in, that your thoughts create forms, and those forms are your angels, your demons, and they're entities. Just the ideas are entities themselves.
How we think. How thought forms are created. Thought forms generated in and of astral and lower manas, or manasic matter, is known as kama manas, a blend of desire and will, setting up vibrations that carry the thought's quality. Quality?
Ooh.
What does that mean? It means calmness, maybe? Anger, which can influence not only our moods, but the moods of others. If definite, a thought form can embody a specific image or an idea depending upon the strength or the weakness of the will and the desire that created it. Definite means a thought that is clear, strong, mental, emotional, or a combination of both, a relatively strong desire combined with will. A strong thought can create an image of the thinker, and the thinker can project an astral double of their self to a distant space. Other times, a strong thought mimics a material object.
That's deep.
Or may
bro.
form an abstract shape expressing the thought's quality. And this is important to understand too, because the quality of a thought makes a huge difference. Is it a good quality or a bad quality? Does it even make a difference?
Yeah, that's
Could it
what I was
even
gonna
be
say.
an evil thought? An unethical thought? These are qualities of thought forms, and we have to understand the nature of these things if we are to understand how we work in this world, how we live in this world.
I think that's the wild part, because like, when I talk to ones close to me about stuff like this, they think that, well, a lot of people feel like you can't understand how, from how your mind works and how you see your mind work, you can't understand how everybody else works. And it's like, no, these are patterns and these are things that all of us do. So once you see how your mind works and how your mind creates the different things that it creates, you get a better understanding that everybody's doing that. We're all doing it, and we all creating these different things, like from our beliefs, and our ideas. We're creating the world, and it's like weird, bro, because it like goes on and on and on and on. It starts from one, and then it just keeps going. It go boom, 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 boom. It like never. It just don't stop. It doesn't stop. It's a continuous thing that doesn't stop. It just goes from person to person to person to person to person. It started from when life first started or humans first started, and once it went on, it never stopped.
For example, a flash of anger or a rose-colored cloud of affection often displays colors reflecting the emotion behind the thought. And that's what they talk about frequently. It's not just a mental projection, it's also an emotional projection, filled with desire, what we want, what we need. Not just a unemotional thought, but there is that. Thought forms are usually built from the substance of our own mental and astral bodies, hovering in our aura. A powerful thought, especially one fueled by strong emotion, can detach and even travel. And sometimes we can...
Hey, remember we was talking about topas and how people, they create the topa and then it take off and then they find it like 2 years later and it be out somewhere and it's like, hey, how you over here by the store? Like I created you for my own mind and now you out in the world somewhere.
See this even in our own lives, particularly when we were on the verge of waking up in the morning. We sometimes experience astral travel, or we sometimes experience someone visiting us, someone we love, someone who's just passed away, and they had a strong thought at the moment of death to visit a child or to visit a parent. And we see these images, a projection of thought. Again, as they say, we are constantly peopling our stream of thought with thought forms, even now this minute. If we are thinking, we are creating thought forms. Some are vague, some are strong. Some are results of instinct, of habit. And when they're of continued instinct and habit, they can be very strong.
Real powerful.
And perhaps that's why we need another pair of shoes, if I may say so.
Yeah, because it becomes, like I said, it becomes you. Like, because you're already the thought, but it becomes you, period. You feel me? That's the trippy part.
They collect in our aura, creating the psychic atmosphere around us. It's always with us. And sometimes we can get a feeling about other people. And that feeling is the makeup of their aura and the results of their thought processes, the qualities of their thoughts. That atmosphere again reacts on any sensitive or nervous being which comes into contact with us, even plants and animals. Our thought forms can affect plants and can affect our pets. In simple terms, those who are intuitive or empathetic, again, can sense and be influenced by the thought vibrations we radiate. On the astral plane, like attracts like. Elementals who exist there tend to be attracted toward other elementals of a similar kind. And this is for you. Elementals are defined as nature spirits or beings that inhabit the astral plane, a realm of emotional energy and consciousness, and often associated with the spirit world. And if we understand the concept of involution, of the spirit into matter, and of evolution, spirit back to its source, we place an elemental on the downward into matter side of this total evolutionary spectrum.
Man.
And it's kind of like a raw, unconscious, almost has no real awareness of what is happening, and doesn't become individualized until the human kingdom, if this rings a bell. But they exist there in the astral world and will eventually enter what we call the material physical world and have concrete beingness, so to speak. In families, communities, and nations, shared thoughts and emotions blend into a collective thought form. A collective thought form. There is a collective thought form for this lodge.
Hey, I'm just laughing because, like, you know, the psychedelic showed me this in so many ways, and I seen it, and I explained it. Like, okay, remember when I was saying about how I seen the cells forming the body, right? And then they came to form the brain, but they formed the body first. But the reason that the cells were coming together, and the heart and the lungs and all these things were growing, because as a body it was easier for them to feed. You feel me? If they had to do it alone, just think if our cells all broke up and had to go and feed on their own, it'll be hard. But coming together as a body, it's easier to feed the whole nation. So therefore, that's why it was showing me like we create the body, because it made it easier for the atoms or whatever, for these different cells to be able to feed. But when you think about it, it's like, okay, that's what we do as people, or even animals do it, to where we come together and we make cities, we make cities, we make countries, because as a country, it's easier for us to look out for more people, as a group, as a family. And it breaks all the way down to the family, to why a family is a family, and why a family is part of the tribe, and why the tribe is part of why the tribe is part of the city, and why the city is part of the state, and why the state is part of the country. It's like you start seeing, it's like weird. You kind of see the building blocks of this thing, and you see that everything is mirroring it and doing the same thing, kind of, sort of.
The members create this. It is an atmosphere, and I may say a welcoming atmosphere, and you can be proud of that. These group thought clouds create an astral atmosphere through which everything is seen. It's like looking through rose-colored glasses, so to speak. It's colored in a certain direction, and that color has either a mental type of coloring, an emotional type of coloring, or a combination of both. But these are the strong thought forms of the group as a whole. And not just this group, again, our families, our city, our town, the nation. And I believe, although I haven't seen it, I believe the entire world has its own group, egregore, so to speak, and I'd like to see that one. Philosophers debate whether thought forms have their own consciousness. Their own consciousness. H.P. Blavatsky,
oh my God,
explained that a normal thought form is not truly conscious. No. It is perfectly unconscious unless it is the creation of an adept who has preconceived object in giving it consciousness. And we'll go into that just a little bit more.
Damn.
Most of our thoughts create automatic astral entities that blindly and this is very important, that blindly carry out the single task or emotion.
Hey, I ain't even watched this video yet, bro. I hate to say that. Look, I watched the first 3 minutes and I said I'm going to do a reaction to it. But look, they got everything. Not, the semi-conscious. You feel me? Elementals attached to egregores are semi-conscious or not. Look, adept creation refers to deliberate formation and projection of egregores. They have the topa. Tibetan Buddhism, phantom forms created through intense, purposeful concentration. Now, if you think, like, bro, and people just do not want to accept this, Jesus is a topa. Buddha is a topa. A lot of these different things that we believe, this is what they are. They're topas. We don't want to accept it because we done made these things living entities within our life. And it being that living entity, it don't want to die. It don't want to stop being. It wants to keep being whatever it is. That's just what I'm saying. We about to see what she say.
We instilled in them, not consciously, but unconsciously. We aren't aware of what we're doing as a group on that level. But we're instilling a certain path for this egregore, a certain type of life or living for this egregore, for the group egregores. And there are many of them. We're not just affected by our family egregore, so to speak, or our nation, but any group that we belong to. We're affected by it in some way or another. They appear to have a life of their own. But it's really our mental energy at work, our will. Well, let me get back to Annie Besant and Led.
Okay. Like, this the way I'm looking at it. Like, say, okay, gangbanging. Like, you feel me? Like the egregore, well, to me, I'm gonna have to look up egregore because I only heard it a couple of times. But, like, the ones that are Crips, or the ones that are Bloods, or the ones that are, when you even go politicians, you feel me? And you go dang, I don't even know what they call. I don't know too much of nothing about politics, but I'm just saying the different beliefs that people have as a whole, you feel me? And they follow it and they go, okay, well, I'm a Crip. That, that thing right there is its own entity. So therefore that thing begins to take over that person. And that person goes out there and be that entity. It doesn't be, it doesn't be itself. It be the entity that is a Crip, you feel me? And it's like, or it be that entity that is, dang, bro, I don't even know. I'm trying to say it, but every time it comes to my mind, it kind of go away. But they become that entity of that thing, and college student, man, woman, you feel me? Like, these are those different entities that are that are playing that part and saying, okay, this is what you are. And then what we do, we go and be it. Meaning, even a man, there's many types of men to be. You feel me? But still, though, that is one entity in itself. Like how I say a zebra. When you think of zebras, and it's a herd of them or it's a lot of them, they're still, zebra is one entity by itself. You feel me? Birds, one entity by itself. Eagle, all eagles is one entity. All, insects, like just the word insects is one entity, but then that word, that entity plays many different forms. It like an ant, it plays the form of a beetle, it plays the form of a moth, or, you feel me, any type of insect. Like, the same one as the human, you feel me? Like, it'll play many different types of humans. It'll take on many different roles, but still it's that same entity actually doing it. And then it goes further and goes beyond to where it's one entity that's basically being everything. It's like, it's weird, bro.
They likewise noted that a vigorous thought form can become for a time a kind of independent living being, not by conscious action, but by a blind following out of the impulse given to it by the members of its group that it is attached to. So in a way, we unconsciously direct the growth of an egregore, this group thought form. And adepts, by instilling a portion of their will and their intellect, can create an entity that behaves as if it were conscious. It is how an adept can appear in two places at once, by sending a thought form or astral double of themselves that can interact intelligently. Such cases are exceptional. The adept essentially loans part of his consciousness to form. In Tibetan Buddhism, for example, practitioners speak of tulpa, and a tulpa is a phantom form, similar to what we've been discussing as egregores, produced through intense concentration, and usually it is on purpose. It is intentional. There was a story that I read about the explorer Alexandra David Neal, Neel. She reportedly generated a tulpa of a friendly monk, which others allegedly saw. Over time, it developed a will of its own and became troublesome, requiring her to reabsorb it or deconstruct it. Stories like this suggest, under rare circumstances, a thought form might attain a degree of autonomy, especially if sustained by ritual or intense belief, a concept that bridges into the idea of egregores. The definition of an egregore is that it is a concept in esotericism, referring to a thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a group of like-minded individuals. It is essentially a group mind, a group mind,
and I was just
or
going to look this
collective
up.
consciousness that takes on a life of its own. Egregores are formed by the shared beliefs, and this is an important concept, by the shared beliefs, emotions, intentions, and even by group religious worship.
Hey, this whole time, like, I didn't even know what egregore was. I know I heard it before, but I never knew what it was. And I was like going, dang, after this video, I said, I'm going to look this up in order so I can get the definition of this. Because it's like, I kind of know, but I don't know. But then you start to, because of the way she's using it. And right here where she says egregores are formed by the shared beliefs, emotions, intentions, and even by group religious worship, which is, bro. So it's wow, because an egregore can either be a unseen entity, but then also it can be a person, because we'll put that unseen entity into that person and give the person that we desire the power to be this big thing. And it's like, bro, man, bro, I'm telling you, people can say what they want about psychedelics, but it's just they don't understand and they don't want to let go of this right here. Nobody, they don't want to let go of the understanding of this reality or what this world is.
They are not necessarily evil, but they can be. And they are not intentionally created to take action, but they still have an influence. A few examples are Santa Claus, Uncle Sam, the devil.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, right? They threw the devil in there. They didn't throw Jesus in there. You feel me? Because I'm gonna tell you, you can't speak on Jesus. You can speak on the devil, but still, though, even the devil, bro, people is not gonna understand that. Like what it took for that name to be what it is today. You feel me? It built upon itself. We built upon it and made that thing into an entity that it never was. So now it exists as an entity because we all believed it and we made it an entity. But I get into that
How many
later.
people believe in the devil?
Everybody.
And the collective consciousness of a nation.
The
What is that
United
like?
States.
An egregore of America.
Man.
What would
Donald
that be
Trump.
like? Of a religion. All the thoughts of the congregations of a particular religion throughout the world. What is that egregore like? And then each church would have its own egregore.
Man, each one. Bro, I look. That's crazy because I just said that about when I said cities, states, all the way down to up to countries. Man, I just said the same thing, but this is trippy, bro.
Or even an organization.
Like I said, the Crips, the Bloods. You feel me? Oh, dang, which is crazy because I could explain it in that way, but it can go as far as the Black Party, Black Panther Party. It can go as far as MS-13. It can go as far as the mafia, the mob. Uh, YSL. You feel me? All these different things, bro.
Egregores influence the thoughts and actions of individuals within a group and can be conduits for non-human psychic intelligences or astral entities.
Boom.
And these, I didn't find much information on non-human psychic intelligences. Egregores arise from the combined.
Look, this is trippy, bro. This is trippy. It just begins to show you that like your thoughts are just they're entities basically. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and they are entities. Like, because I used to always think that even when I was diving in on psychedelics in the beginning, I used to always go, man, hold on, like, why am I seeing these different gods? And then, when they say talk about consciousness, and I'm like going, why would we even have a connection to all these gods? Like the Hindu gods, the gods within Buddhism and different. Why would we even have a connection to these things? Oh yeah, because they are thoughts and ideas that live within us. You feel me? And it's crazy because that's how come we can say, okay, we say angels and then we say God. And we always say the heavens. And when you think of the heavens is up here in the mind. So then when you got the angels, which is these different lower thought forms, the higher thought forms would be God or that entity, and then you have the lower ones like the ones that we see, Anubis and different. Those are the lower thought forms that are lower than the highest one, the highest entity, whatever that one may be. We would just call it God, but it's crazy because all these things begin to make forms and create different forms. And what do? I'd say because I always felt like, okay, dang, it's almost like, because you would think that they wouldn't need us to survive. And that was the thing. Remember, it always said, oh, the humans are going to turn on the gods. The gods get mad when the humans turn on them because if the god or the whatever it is, the god that we created, I ain't saying the creator of everything. I'm saying the smaller gods that we created. If they're just egregores or topas, then we don't, like, what are we doing? Like, we can get rid of them and not have to believe them, and then they won't exist no more. They'll change their form and become something else within us. That's why when you dive in, you get the black goo, that is the blackness, which is the formless. And that thing it begins to form into whatever. It can change its form into whatever. It can take any kind of form. You feel me? So it's like, oh my goodness, man! But I'm gonna kill this video right here, bro. If you like, the channel, man, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be doing a lot of reactions to a lot of different stuff because, like I call it, because it's true life stories. It's not just, true life psychedelics, which I talk a lot about psychedelics. And but I want to talk about more stuff because there's so much going on, and it's a lot of stuff going on, bro. And yeah, we all aware of it. It's just we, when we get tired of listening, we just come over here so we can just talk about psychedelics. But it's a whole lot of stuff going on that all of us is paying attention to because the entities are strong out there. They are strong and they are getting stronger. And as they get stronger, we can't do nothing but go here and see them. And now hopefully you can dissect this and see this for what it is and start to see that a lot of these creations are entities existing within each person, with each person that actually believes or accepts that thing. And even when we come together and we make groups, we make the entity stronger. That's why we come together and we do that. Like, it's kind of weird, bro. You feel me? It's not weird. It's just, it's been going on for so long that, you are already it. So when you see it, it's just like, you feel me? But on that note, I'm gonna say peace. If you like the video, like the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and y'all, comment. Let me know what you think about it, and we'll do a part 2. This is gonna be part 1. So peace out.